a few weeks ago, and I put it in my calendar, and now I remembered.
Well, good to see you again.
Yeah, how's everything in Sweden? Okay.
Well, as okay as that it can be. It's
Okay.
cold. It's 2 degrees right now.
Okay, not too bad.
Evening, Ingvar. Nice to see you.
Hi, Tal. Hi, Tomer. Hi, Gal.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, good evening, everyone. We're going to wait for a few minutes just to let everyone in. And we're going to start. We're not going to bother you for a long time. We just want to tell you a little bit about
David.
a new series.
Hey, David, just noticed you're here. Sorry.
Morning. I'm at my 6 a.m. I've got my first cup of coffee.
Perfect.
The best use of a Norland glass is for coffee.
I use it as well, as you can see here. I never understood how you are supposed to drink whiskey with the glass, you know? Coffee is okay.
You can fit a lot of espresso in a Norland glass and it works really well. Thoroughly approved.
Hi, Billy. What's
Believe
up?
me, I know about that. So just try to do whiskey tasting at 5 o'clock in the morning when it's 7 o'clock p.m. In California. So we have a lot of espressos in the Glencairn glass. Yes, Billy.
What happened to your beard, Billy?
What happened to my beard? What happened to yours? You know, I think we swapped, I think.
Yeah, I took some of yours and put it here, you know?
It's easy, you know. This is what I normally look like. The beard thing was just being, that's what happens if you lock yourself in your house for a year. You start growing stupid beards, you see. So I allow other people to take over the mantle now because too much hair.
But Billy, you look as close to clean shaven as I've ever seen you.
This is about as close to clean shaven as I get because otherwise it gets really bad very quickly if you get shorter than this. I just look like a tiny, tiny child with no hair. It's not a good look.
I remember seeing you long ago when you just said, the sideburns and no beard.
In November a couple of years, and yeah, it was not a good look. I've moved on from that now. I can't pull off the no beard look. Well done to all of you fantastic people who can. I wish I could, but I'm also too lazy.
Okay. Oh, Taylor as well.
I'm doing
Who's there with you? Oh, okay. What's happening in Nijmegen, Ted?
only relaxed stuff.
Who's next to you? Oh, yeah, I see now. Hey, Bob, what's up?
I'm good. I could go to the hairdresser today.
Nice.
How are you, Gal?
I'm okay. Not bad.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Tel Aviv. Thank you so much for all of you for joining us. It's really exciting for us to get so many of you all just giving us an hour or less. We prefer to be less. So first of all, my name is Tal. I want to introduce Gal, the founder and the owner of the distillery and the current CEO.
Yeah, thank you all for coming. It's a great pleasure and honor to have you here. And I hope you will enjoy our tasting.
And of course, my brother from another mother, my better half, all of us better half, Tomer Goren, which if you probably all know him.
Hello.
Doing some stuff around here.
Well, hello everyone. It's amazing to be here with you, and I'm sure you like what you taste. Some more, some less, but we have some great stuff to let you.
We're gonna try to do it as briefly as we can. So please bear with us. Everything you want to ask us, either by the chat, Of course, I can't see anything at the moment, but Dan and Sigal are going to help us with that. And of course, after we taste every expression, please let us know what you think. So first of all, just a few words about us. You probably all know us, but we were established in 2012 by Gal and his partners. And I think, to make a long story short, we just launched our first whiskey at the beginning of 2020, which is probably the worst year in the world to launch proper whiskey. So we did 2 launchings. One was in Holland, the other one was in Paris. And
it was amazing.
It was amazing. And since then, we're doing everything virtually. Thanks to the Americans, we are keeping our jet lag alive because we have to wake up in the middle of the night and do some tasting and drinking espresso in Glencairn, like we talked before. We did launch 4 whiskeys this year at 2020, the Classic, our first one. And then we launched the 3 Element, the Element series. So the Classic is based on ex-bourbon and STR casks, and then the Elements is taking the same cask as the Classic and adding another element to this, cherry peated, and the third one was the Israeli red wine cask. So after we did that, and this was our launching year, and you know what is it? How to open new markets and how to do just launching in. Everything was virtual. I think that this year for us is the apex year. And the apex year means that finally we arrived to the point that the fun thing about being a craft distillery is that we can try. 2 weeks ago, it was a Thursday. We were here at the visitor center because the bars are still closed in Tel Aviv until Sunday. And we had a few drinks, we went home, I went to sleep, and then around 11:30 at night, we started texting each other because all of a sudden we got through the distillery Facebook page, congratulations. We didn't know what this guy was talking about. And then we saw that we won, for the Icons of Whiskey, we won the Craft Producer of the Year, which was, we didn't submit ourselves, so it was a total surprise for us. So it was raining. Midnight, we went to Gal's place and drank until 5 o'clock in the morning or something like that. 3 hours later, I got the second vaccination. I just still remember that. So for us, it was such an amazing news to be recognized by the industry as something that, it's really hard, easy for us to fall in love with what we're doing, but recognition from the industry is such an amazing chore. So this year, something about being a craft distillery is that we can experiment. It's sometimes this guy's crazy mind or this guy's crazy mind, and sometimes even crazier mind that I don't care about the taste. I just want the ideas to go. And the Apex series is exactly that. Omer?
Well,
having a beer?
The Apex series is my place, is our place to go. Well, if we're looking in the core range for balance and to introduce the Israeli terroir and the good whiskey that we can produce in 3 and a little bit more years. So in the Apex, we are going a little bit more wild and playing with cask and playing with the terroir and trying to showcase things that we are not usually do. And maybe some of the things you don't see a lot in the industry also. So I hope it will be really interesting for you. I hope you like it. And what I'm sure is that it will open your mind and will make you think about what you are tasting. And of course, it's whiskey, but some of the whiskeys have really unique taste. And let's start.
I think in a nutshell, when I'm driving in the morning to the distillery, I'm telling myself, today I'm not going to drink anything. And then Tomer comes, we're drinking coffee, and then you have to try this cask or you have to try that cask. And then we're just trying to think about new stuff. And so I think this series is let's say it's the answer for the crazy morning talks or the crazy coffee talks. And it's small batch. usually high strength. So batches are going to be between 900 bottles to 3,000 bottles, almost cask strength, or sometimes we just play with the cask until we like the taste. And
this is our place to go.
This is our playground, yeah.
To be creativity.
So I think let's start. For the first whiskey is the Apex white wine.
White wine.
Okay, Tomer?
So the white wine is fully matured. Yes, this one. White wine is fully matured in Chardonnay white wine casks from the mountains of Jerusalem, from really, really good.
I can actually tell you it's a winery called Castel, Domaine du Castel, that makes a traditional way of Chardonnay. That means with the bétonnage and soulis and everything that leaves a lot in the cask, not just a regular Chardonnay, but a heavy oaky Chardonnay. And it's an amazing wine. I think that you picked that.
You have the tasting notes in front of you. I won't. It's in front of you. But what I like in this whiskey is that you do feel the wine, and you don't find a lot of white wine casks in the industry, and of course not full maturation in white wine casks. And it's very unique. It's something that I didn't taste a lot, and of course we didn't say that all the Apex series is bottled with cask strength. So this one is at 61.2% alcohol, and we'd love to hear what you think about it.
So you have to understand before that it's, we take advantage of our climate to do the fast maturation, to do a rapid maturation, and get a lot of flavors rapidly. And the same thing is with the terroir for the grapes. So this is a Chardonnay from the mountains of Jerusalem, which is acts differently than a Chardonnay from any cold country. And it's a fabulous wine. Make like Tomer said, a full maturation with a really good wine, not just another wine. So we'd really like to hear your comments about that. Cheers, L'chaim.
Hi.
So you can actually talk, guys. You don't need to write because I can't see anything. So.
I see there are some questions people are writing in the chat, Tal, so maybe you can read the chat.
I can't. I'm too old. Don't have any glasses. Yeah, they're sending it. Okay. Yeah.
Can I ask? I put it in the chat, but I'm very interested to know how much residual wine was in the staves when you filled the casks, and how you feel that influenced the resulting whiskey.
Well, we didn't wash the cask or treat it in any way after the winery emptied the cask, but it was with just a little bit of sediments, of yeast, of all the things that left in the cask, but we emptied the wine totally. There is no residual or something.
But sunk into the staves, there must have been some Chardonnay wine, which would then be released during the aging process. So I'm wondering, how fresh the cask was, and if you have an idea of how many liters might have been in the staves.
I think in the States you don't have a lot of liters because it is, they're emptying the cask, and it wasn't in the same day. You didn't feel it in the same day.
We feel it about 4 days after it was emptied.
And in our climate, it's a lot, but you still get, because of the climate, I think the spirit takes a lot from inside the staves, but it's not liters of wine. It's just the influence of the wood with the characteristics itself.
So you do feel a little bit of sourness from the wine. I feel the yeast inside. It's very earthiness for me.
Some white flowers for my taste, and some kind
Who
of.
wrote the tasting notes? Who was the one who wrote the tasting notes?
Probably us, but we don't remember.
That's one of the few cases where I can completely agree with the tasting notes I've read before.
Okay.
Yeah, but with tasting notes, we all know that sometimes you agree, sometimes not.
Yeah.
Any one of you has his opinion.
It's something. If there's one thing we don't like to do is write tasting notes, but for our whiskeys.
Who does?
Well,
guys, I think this is really good. It's I love the fact you can drink this at the strength it is. That it's cask strength above 60%, yet actually it's not one that you're immediately thinking, I need to water this down, it's too heavy. It's really smooth, and it's got these amazing floral fruity notes. There's lots of mango and tropical fruits coming in there, but citrus as well. And then there's a lot of sweetness on the palate, but yeah, you can actually sip away at 60% if you want, but I'm going to try it with some water.
Yeah, I do recommend to open it just a little bit with a little bit of water. It does change in the glass and develops more flavors.
I think the water does quite well. It does open it up a little bit and also smoothes a little bit of the alcohol character at the beginning. So water certainly should do, I think.
And I think it's not, it's the air helps it as well, not only water. It takes a little bit of time to open because of the high strength and because of our very short heart. We cut between 80 to 70, so it's an average of 73% before we fill the cask, just behind me. So I think it's something to do with that, because it's a thick, with the line arms going 45 degrees. It's a thick and fruity new make, which you can get here. Sometimes just leave it for a few minutes and just air it out and then add some water. But it is smooth at 60%.
I have a question. Which type of wood was the cask made of? Was it European oak, American oak? Or?
It was French oak.
French oak, okay.
Yeah, most of the wood from the industry, at least in Israel, don't know what happened in the world, but it's French oak from the wine industry.
So, Tomer, how did you decide about which winery you're going to source the white wine from? Was it intentionally or just, by the chance?
Actually, we are sourcing for casks all the time. Beside our core range casks that we're sourcing on a regular base, we are trying to source for some interesting casks all the time. And we got a chance to take this cask from Castel Winery, and it's something that you don't usually see a lot in the whiskey industry, so we're saying yes to everything related to cask.
I think we have good connections with the wine industry in Israel, and we're helping each other. Of course, we cannot give them a cask because it's not going to be kosher for Passover if you use whiskey casks for aging wines. But we do have a lot of connections with them, and we can source casks. So in the near future, we're going to have so much interesting stuff at this kind of series with all kinds of very interesting wines from all kinds of distillery wineries from around the country. And it's really interesting to play with different terroirs. And we have 5 climate zones in 450 kilometers of a country. So we are playing with that. We age casks in different places around the country, but we also source the cask from wineries around different kind of terroir, different kind of grape varieties. So this is the first bird. We're going to see what happens eventually in the near future.
Well, I just want to talk just a little bit about the series, about Apex, because the Apex is gonna based on batches. So not all of the whiskeys will return or will be continuous. Not all of the casks that we use in this series. So I think those are sold out already, but you can find them in Europe somewhere. But we're talking about the Apex, the idea behind it, and the playing with the cask. So
every month or two, we're going to have another expression with small batches. Not everything we can sell to all the markets because it's a very small batch. And but we're going to try, and we're going to come up with crazy ideas all the time. We do that, so it's going to be fun.
Sorry. Can I just ask a question? Given the title, are you saying that this is the best that you've got? This is the not just unusual expressions you talked about, terroir yeasts and so on, but it's the pinnacle of what you've achieved to date. And also, just as a second question, sorry, I know you were talking about the ability to move casks around. We've spoken about that in the past. Is there any of these products where you've moved a cask from one site to the other to change its characteristics?
Yeah, so we'll talk about the different climate zones maturation a little bit later.
But for us, the peak, Apex is the name of the series, and for us, it's the peak of our, let's say, way of thinking outside the box. It could be, you're going to taste 4 whiskeys today. Probably some of them you won't like, and some of them you like better, or you like and you like better. And then
something you don't like.
Something you don't like is okay. Yeah, it's and so for us, it's the peak of our imagination, the peak of our way of distilling and maturing. And I think that this is a part of what we're doing. The best is, it's something that you decide in each day.
Even if you don't like some whiskey, I hope at least it will open your mind and make you think about what you're drinking and think it's interesting.
And we are having a beer.
Tomer, did I get it right when you said that once these are sold out, there won't be a batch 2 or 3 of the same expressions? There will be new experiments. When these are sold out, they're gone.
Well, I didn't understand.
I think that there are going to be some expressions, but it's probably not going to be the same because it's small batches. So we have, you're going to taste in a second the pomegranate wine cask. So we're going to have another pomegranate wine cask batch and another one later on. But I cannot tell you it's going to be the same because it's really small batches, sometimes different casks.
Unlike the core range, we're not trying to copy each batch. Even in pomegranate wine casks, it will not be the same, but it will be just like I love it, or I think it's better to be bottled.
Good.
Will you be experimenting with second fill of the casks that you've just used for this bottling? Or will you always be going for a first fill to see what happens?
Well, most of these casks, because it's unique and it's different from our core range, will be filled second fill. So
then we'll see. We don't know. Yeah. We need some time. The good thing about that it was raining today, but it was around 20 degrees. So it's winter. So it's gonna happen very fast. We're gonna feel what happens. If you're okay, it's okay with you. Let's go for the second whiskey, which is cognac. Cognac. Okay. So the cognac cask. We are a kosher distillery. We are from Tel Aviv, which is not a very kosher city, but it's an added value for us to be kosher. That means that when we are using great base products like wines, sherries, and brandies and cognacs, they have to be kosher because there's a lot of regulations in the Bible about kosher. With wines, it's not a problem. We have a 3,000-year-old wine culture here, so we can source cask from kosher wineries around the country. With sherry, we have our own seasoning project in Jerez, which we are actually making kosher wines in Jerez and seasoning the cask in the cooperage and bringing them over to Tel Aviv. And with the cognacs, we needed to find a very good kosher cognac. And we have good friends that have a family that makes cognac for the last 450 years. It's called Godet. And the Godet family, the grandfather, I think a few decades ago, decided to make kosher cognacs for his Jewish friends in New York. So they have a regular line of cognacs, and they have a kosher line of cognac. And we are sourcing the Limousin, beautiful Limousin, 400 liters casks from Godet, and bringing them here. And then Tomer's making the magic.
Yeah, so I think that you do feel the cognac in tasting. It has I like the silky body that it has, and here it bottled at 59.4, I think. Yeah. That's it. It's very interesting. Yeah. I really like the cask, the influence of the cognac cask on our whiskey. Here we talk about finishing. It was finished for about half a year in the cognac cask. Ex-bourbons finished in
so actually
cognac cask.
2 ex-bourbons, 200 liters went to in one 400-liter Limousin cognac cask. And I remember that we tried some, before it was 3 years old, we tried it, and we were thinking that it's going to be over matured because it was, wow, it was great, but it was okay. And I think we really like this one. And I think it's a nice whiskey.
Yeah, it's a nice whiskey.
It's more of a crowd pleaser than the first one, but it is a very nice whiskey.
I think it's definitely the only cognac kosher wine matured.
Kosher cognac whiskey matured, but I think in a blind tasting, you feel it's much older. Everything we do feels much older, as we are. I'm 12 years old, and it really feels much older because of the cognac taste, because of the grapes and everything.
So this one I think is much more fragrant and much nicer than the first one. In my opinion, I really like this cognac influence on the whiskey. I think I've tasted this way back a few weeks ago, a few months ago, and I really like it from the first sip. So this is excellent, in my opinion. Very, very good.
Well, first, thank you. Well, that's what's nice about whiskey. I like the white wine more, and you like the cognac more, and I think that's great. Thank you, Gal.
I find a lot of cognac in this one, so I would rather say it's a cognac with a whiskey influence than the other way around.
It's, again, only just less than 6 months finish, but because of the climate.
I definitely get the cloves. The cloves are very dominant here.
The decision to make this a finish rather than a full maturation, did you find that the cognac cask would give just too much too quickly to the whiskey? Have you tried full maturation in these casks yet?
Well, we received those casks only about a year and a half ago. So there are fully matured casks that filled, but it's not whiskey. But we did put some of the cask for a finish, and I think it's really good, and that's why we decided to bottle it.
There was a very interesting thing about after half a year to finish the bourbon cask in that, or as a new make, I think we saw less influence of the cognac cask on the new make, and it was with a bit matured spirit, it was just like that. So we don't know yet. We're gonna see. We have 1.5 something years fully matured spirit in that. We're gonna taste it and we're gonna see what happens. But it really the influence is so much, it's such a different influence between the new made spirit and 2.5-year-old bourbon casks. So in this expression, it was just, you can actually feel the influence just like that. And we're going to see, but we're going to have some fully matured cognac casks.
And before you ask, yes, here I do think it's really a cask that one of our greatest casks and the great matured cask, and it's not something that you don't see in the industry. Just something that we thought was really, really good for bottle.
And we really like the fact that they are still a family-owned business, the guys from Cognac. So, we can actually choose the cask with them. Just got back to the white wine. Now it's got some peppers in it. Please, guys, share any comments with us and don't be afraid to talk, because really it's I'm too old and don't have any glasses, so I cannot see any of the comments.
You're 12 years old. So.
I'm 12 years old. Yeah. But I was matured in the sun.
It's less sharp than the first one, and I definitely get the close here. So it's much rounder, much more oilier. I don't get too much cognac, to be honest.
Well,
which is a good sign for me, actually.
Some not. It depends how much cognac you drink.
I find it good. It's good that there's not too much cognac in there. That's because it's whiskey. It should taste like whiskey. So you just get some fruits and some hints of cognac, which is good.
Yeah. So if you don't have any other comments, guys, let's go to the third one, which is the pomegranate wine cask.
So here we got a nice story.
It's a nice story. I think that there is, first of all, pomegranate is a part of our culture as Israelis and as Jews. It's a part of our diet here. We eat a lot of pomegranates in salads. We drink pomegranate juice, and even in the Jewish New Year's, there's a blessing, and it's a part of the ceremony to eat pomegranate seeds, grains. And there's in the upper part of the Galilee, in the upper north of Israel, there's a winery that makes wines only from pomegranates. So it's a kind of a fruit wine. Actually, lately they started to make wine from grapes as well. But they are making wines of pomegranates and cosmetics and whatever. They have their own pomegranate variety, which grows only in the upper Galilee, in the northern part of Israel. Now, those guys are making the wines. They have red wines, dry wines, rosé wines, and what we like the most is a kind of a port-style fortified sweet wines that made from pomegranates.
That's been used in this whiskey also.
Yeah. So what we did is, we shared some of our thoughts with them, and it started off with a marketing idea that, let's look for another thing about being an Israeli DNA. Let's find an Israeli DNA, and the pomegranate and pomegranate wines are a part of it. So we just took the cask from them, and Tomer and myself just filled the cask, and we were just waiting next to the casks, and please let it be good, because it all fell in place, but we just needed the liquid to be tasty. And I think that it was amazing just to try the first sip, and I think it was our first ever independent bottling of Milk and Honey. Was a young malt 1 year. The Boutique whiskey company did our bottling for the pomegranate wine cask, and eventually we got finally to the 3-year-old, and I think that we just won.
I think
something. I don't know.
Something.
Yeah. And testing category. We don't know which category, but we won. But I think that it's the most interesting. You like it or not? It's the most interesting thing, because there's no no pomegranate wineries outside Israel. I guess so, and I think we are the only one that can make this one. There's a lot of buzz behind this one. I think that last year at the London Whiskey Show represented young spirits with that, because we didn't have a 3-year-old one, and we brought pomegranates from Israel, which were that big, and people just stopped and tasted that, and it made a lot of buzz. And since then, we released our first batch that I think 80% was sold to the US, and the rest was actually, I think, sold out. In Europe.
So here again, we have ex-bourbon and STR cask married together, batted together, and then finished in fortified pomegranate wine casks. And I think you really feel the pomegranate fruit when you drink this whiskey.
Some tannins and tartiness, and you know, pomegranate are sweet, but it's also sour. So again, the casks were totally empty. Some of them are actually almost dry, but we get so much taste from that and color.
So Tal, which winery is making the pomegranate wine we're speaking of?
Rimon. Rimon, it's pomegranate in Hebrew. Rimon Winery in the Upper Galilee, in Dalton.
They're actually selling a lot of wines to the Far East, not this year, but before the pandemic.
COVID. Yeah. Yeah, they're exporting a lot. They're making, it's not a small winery. They're making around almost 1 million bottles a year, and a lot of SKUs, a lot of types of wines, and they're very interesting. And for us, you know, it's a part of who we are, and I think it's a great way of finding our DNA.
So what do you think about the pomegranate Apex?
It's very different. Very different. I get a lot of these Morello cherries, you know, these tart cherries, maraschino.
Yeah.
It's my least favorite of the four, but of course you should do it. And as you said, you have pomegranate wine in Israel, so of course you should try cask. So brilliant on doing that. But for this evening, my least favorite, but it's interesting.
You know, Ingvar, it's interesting. I was inspired by something you've just said there. I mean, I would love to have it in a Manhattan cocktail. How delicious that would be. And
that's an idea.
I can see what you're doing with these expressions, and I'm having a lot of fun trying them. Some really exciting flavors here. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, here we definitely have something that you don't find anywhere else. It's very unique, it's very new, and it's very innovative. And for us, very Israeli, which is important. And we open your mind, Ingvar.
And now I know that what we're going to drink after the tasting. So I think it's something that you cannot stay indifferent to it. It's either you like it or not. It's like or you just get along with that. But it's different, and this is what we love to do.
I suspect this is a whiskey that can grow on you. So my first impression was it's a little bit subdued, not as present as the other ones, but more I sip, the more I like it. So it's beautiful.
Yeah, and what I like in this whiskey, to be honest, this is not my favorite also, Ingvar, but what I like from the four. But what I like in this whiskey is that it changed from minute to minute. It just keeps changing in the glass. Even if you don't add water, if you add water, of course it will change. And it breathes, and very interesting. With this whiskey, it's a journey in the glass.
Tomer, are any of these particular whiskies matured by the Dead Sea? And how do you decide which of the casks to mature at that very low altitude and very high temperature?
Well, when we started maturing at the Dead Sea with the extreme climate conditions over there, it's very hot and dry all of the years. And what's more important for the whiskey maturation is that the differences between day and night are really, really huge. We talk about almost 20 degrees between day and night, maybe more. And at the first time we took cask there, we just took everything, and then we started to taste and learn and decide which cask to leave there and which cask to bring back to the distillery.
Just think about a single cask with 25% angel share in the Dead Sea. You cannot do a single cask from that.
No, but those are not single casks. No. And what we did learn about the Dead Sea maturation is that we will not be able to leave casks there for 3 years. We'll have to bring them back to the distillery after 1 year, because we lose, as Tal said, 25% angel share there. To compare it to the distillery, to the Tel Aviv, we lose here in average about 11% from each cask. So it's huge, it's not economical, and more important for me, that it affects the cask really, really
extreme.
Dramatically.
I think it's dramatically. I think it's a very extreme place. You know, it's dramatic air pressure, dramatic climate, heat, dryness. So the casks leave you a lot of dramatic flavors. It's we joke about it's like aging whiskey in a microwave or something like that.
We will have some expression in this series in the Apex. It will be blue like this. Hope you see it. So in the near future, in a few months, we will have some Dead Sea expression in the Apex series.
In the Apex series, I guess around July, August, something like that. So we're going to have all the experiments from Dead Sea are going to be in this series.
We'll try to make it as bigger as we can because
we'll try, because it's a buzz maker.
Are you at the point? Are you at the point yet where you can decide the particular influence that you can take from casks that are matured at the Dead Sea?
It's just, if Israel is extreme maturation, or we have extreme climate here, so at the Dead Sea it's 4 times from the distillery. You got a lot of extract from the wood, a lot of taste from the cask.
I think that from the last batch that was we just replaced the cask there before they get not only the angel share, but it's so hot that the top of the cask are getting dry, and we just brought back the casks, and I think from the few tasting we did, the red wine casks are crazy. So the red wine casks there, which were actually pomegranates, the SPRs, and some of Carignan, Pinot Noir, and stuff like that as single cask. We're going to see what we're going to do with that. We try to do some blends, but it's still early. It's still early to do, but I think that we can see that rye and the red and the wine casks are acting beautiful there, beautifully. Yeah, I think so. Rye is killing us there. So, but it's small casks, small dry casks. Let's go to the last one, or if you are, let's taste the last one and then we can talk. Yeah.
In the Apex, we will have some single casks also, and it will be bottled in this beautiful black bottle. See it? So the Apex series will have small batches as we taste now, and in the near future, we will have some single casks also. And the single cask will be casted with specially
from a core range, I think. But because small batch is going to be from our, the crazy ideas. A small batch is the way to do, from Dead Sea or pomegranates and stuff like that. The single cask are going to be from the core range of what we are using: ex-bourbon, ex-Isla, STR casks, sherry casks. But we're going to pick the best casks that we believe in, or Tomer believes in, and we're going to decide that for us this is the top of the bourbon or the top of the STR, and we're going to bottle that at a single cask Apex, as you saw in a black bottle. Let's go for the last one.
Any questions about the pomegranate, or we can move to the last one? And we are just on time.
Yeah.
So the last one is a fully matured rum casks. Here we don't have any finish, or it's just whiskey full matured in ex-Caribbean and Cubanian rum casks. It's not a big batch.
1,400. Yeah. 1,400 bottles, mostly Jamaican, but one Cuban. We just played with that. So some of them were very funky. The other one was more fruitier, more dark sugar, and it's a different way that when you use those casks. When Tomer used those casks, it's unlike the cask we take from different kind of cold country maturation. This one was actually aged in a hot climate, so the color is going to be different. It's already used in a hot climate, and it's a 195 liter casks, most of them, and you can see that. So it takes a little bit of time, but I think we get a very good result at the end. So fully matured Caribbean rum casks at 57.3, I think. Yeah, it says there.
So far, this is the best nose, I think. It's really good.
They're all our sons, so it's your turn to talk about that.
It's your part to choose the best from our son.
It's so tropical and fruity and rounded and rich. It's really good. May I ask you which Jamaican distilleries did you use, or which?
Actually, we are not allowed to tell. So okay. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Not something that we can share.
Asking is for free.
Send me an email later.
Yeah, so I think this is a typical rum matured whiskey. You do feel the funkiness from the Jamaican rum, some rubbery notes, some earthiness that I really like. And we did feel that this is thing that should go to the Apex because it's good, in my opinion.
I think it's brilliant. I love it. Loads of very dark chocolate espresso, jam from dark berries. I get some banana as well. Really, really good.
Thank you very much, Ingvar.
Can I just ask on this, because I mean, it's beautiful and it really stands out, but it has so much Jamaican rum character in this. I guess I've got to ask, how are you ever worried about losing the distillery character in a cask as powerful as this?
Well, that's a really good question, because in our core range, in the classic or elements, we are always trying to keep the distillery character and keep it balanced and not to lose it. But here we allow ourselves to lose the distillery character and to let the cask mature to the extreme and to do their job. And I have no problem in using the distillery character in particular in this apex. In some expressions you will feel it more, in some expressions you'll feel it less.
I guess with this series we just flow. We just let it flow and not restrict ourselves to make the house style, the balanced house style. I know it's hard for Tomer because Tomer really like everything to be balanced, but here we're getting crazy. Again, he's a redhead, so he can go crazy. And so we are trying, we're doing that. And I think that this time, this whiskey always, I think is changing in the bottle from the last time I tasted it, which was 10 minutes ago. But no, it really is, it keeps developing all the time and it's getting more and more tropical. And it was crazy because for us to get a lot from those casks that were already matured in a hot climate like ours, it took a lot of time. And I think we did some single cask for Holland and Belgium, and we did a single cask with the Single Cask Nation. And we felt it was not something that, it wasn't this kind of a characteristics, it was different. And this one really got tropical in I think in about a month or less than since we bottled it.
Which cask of these four gave you most trouble? Which one needed watched closer than any of the others?
The Jamaicans.
Well, the Jamaicans, yeah, but
it was worth it.
From those four expressions,
I think the hardest to work with was the white wine cask. I did took aside 2 casks of the cask that was supposed to go into this batch because I didn't like it. And in general, wine casks are the worst to work with.
The wine casks, yeah. But again, the pomegranates, we have two different wine varieties in that. And I think the easiest were the cognacs.
Yeah, the cognac just went
consistent.
Really nice.
And after you've done the Islay casks, have you experimented at all with other whiskey styles as a finishing vessel?
Well, yeah, we do have some ex-Islay casks. Mostly it goes to single casks for some markets. And in our elements, in our peated elements, we have a combination of ex-Islay cask inside the blend and peated malt that we produce here.
We do have very old Speyside Highland casks, but it's too young. It's too young to, it's a very old cask with a too young spirit, so it's going to take some time to tell you about the resolution. But I think from what I tasted last time,
it's developing really nice.
Yeah, it's still very new makey, but you can see the influence. So yeah, we did some experiments. Not very critical like Islay, but very fine Highland or Speyside distilleries.
Excellent.
So,
no? Do we have anything else to tell?
No, I don't think so. I think, yeah.
All right, so
guys, if we didn't have answered any of your questions, but just it's because we don't see the chat. So please, if any of you want to ask us about anything, please do. The next batches are going to be very interesting. We have another cognac batch and a fortified wine, Israeli fortified wine, port style,
and a peated STR.
The peated STR. Unfortunately, for Europe, the cognac and the fortified wine are going to America. But then we're going to have some peated STR, peated spirit. 40 ppm, 40 ppm with an STR cask, which was it's an amazing one. And then we're gonna come back with another different pomegranate wine cask, a different wine, different pomegranate wine, and then again some cognac, some other stuff, and of course the Dead Sea, which is going to be released in this summer. So if you have anything to ask us or to tell us, we'll be happy. If not, we're gonna make our Manhattan because it just
mentioned it.
You just mentioned it.
And we really want to thank every one of you. We appreciate your time and appreciate that you are here with us. And we really hope to see you soon in person and face to face and in shows, whiskey shows.
Yeah, just tell us when we can come. We're gonna come everywhere, anywhere. Really. Just I have my passport in my bag, so just thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Really interesting. Lovely to see you.
Stay safe and healthy.
Guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.
You guys, can you hear me? You hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Hey, I just wrote a message to Alexandra. My name's Liza. I'm in New York.
Hi, Liza.
Who's that? Ah, Sam. Hey, how's it going?
Hi,